10th of June, a month short of his 33rd year, Alexander's great heart finally gave out. And, as he vowed, he joined Hephaestion. But in his short life, he achieved, without doubt, the mythic glory of his ancestor, Achilles, and more. Olympius's transgression in the murder of his father is, to my mind, a probability. His, a burden. Alexander was too in love with glory to steal it. But by blood, and blood alone, he was guilty.
Hold the doors. The body stays in Babylon.
The body belongs to Macedon. This must be decided.
Within hours, we were fighting like jackals for his corpse. The wars of the world had begun. 40 years, off and on, they endured. Cassander in Greece, Craterus and Antigonus in Western Asia, Seleucus and Perdiccas in the East, myself in Egypt, until we divided his empire in 4 parts.
Gentlemen, we are not. We are the future.
I think Alexander would have been disappointed in us. Naturally, rumors grew he'd been poisoned by one faction of his generals or another. But the truth in these matters has long since been driven from currency. Cassander saw to that with his fake diaries, painting Alexander as a sick and bloated drunk. Many believed to remove suspicion from himself. Now, he certainly proved he had the temperament for politics and murder when 7 years later he executed Olympias, who met her death with great courage. 6 years after that, Cassander finally achieved the complete destruction of Alexander's bloodline when he poisoned Roxana and Alexander's 13-year-old son, the true heir to the empire. But Roxana, too, like Olympias, played by stern rules, supported by several generals. Days after Alexander's death, she had Statira poisoned. There was reason enough for some to believe she was the one behind Hephaestion's sudden demise, but this is unproven in my mind. Bagoas disappeared from the histories entirely. A wise move, perhaps. But I will say his love and devotion for Alexander were unquestionable and extraordinary. Now I am the keeper of his body, embalmed here in the Egyptian ways. I followed him as pharaoh and have now ruled 40 years. I have 2 sons, each jealous of the other's power. But they will grow to make fine fathers and husbands, and I trust will be just in their affairs. But they have never seen the great cavalry charge at Gaugamela, or the mountains of the Hindu Kush, when we crossed 100,000-man army into India. He was a god, Cadmus, or as close as anything I've ever known.
Tyrant, they yell so easily. I laugh. No tyrant ever gave back so much. Now what do they know of the world, these schoolboys? It takes strong men to rule. Alexander was more. He was Prometheus, a friend to man. He changed the world. Before him, there were tribes. And after him, all was possible. There was suddenly a sense the world could be ruled by one king and be better for all. 18 great Alexandrias he built across this world. It was an empire not of land and gold, Cadmus, but of the mind. It's a Hellenic civilization. Open to all. But the truth is never simple. And yet it is. The truth is, we did kill him. By silence, we consented. Because we couldn't go on. What by Ares did we have to look forward to, but to be discarded in the end, like Clytus? After all this time to give away our wealth to Asian sycophants we despised, mixing the races, harmony? Pah! Oh, he talked of these things. But wasn't it really about Alexander and another population ready to obey him? I never believed in his dream. None of us did. That's the truth of his life. The dreamers exhaust us. They must die before they kill us with their blasted dreams. I'll just throw all that away, Cadmus. It's an old fool's rubbish. You shall write. He died of fever and a weakened condition.
Yes, great Pharaoh.
Oh, he could have stayed home in Macedonia, married, raised a family. He'd have died a celebrated man. But this was not Alexander. All his life, he fought to free himself from fear. And by this, and this alone, he was made free. The freest man I've ever known. His tragedy was one of increasing loneliness and impatience with those who could not understand. And if his desire to reconcile Greek and barbarian ended in failure, what failure? His failure towered over other men's successes. I've lived long life, Cadmus, but the glory and the memory of man will always belong to the ones who followed their great visions. And the greatest of these is the one we now call Megas Alexandros, the greatest Alexander of them all.